Hey, welcome to a new video. In today's society, the concept of family is becoming increasingly diverse and inclusive. This is particularly evident in the growing number of families choosing to welcome adopted children into their lives. Today we're going to show you 20 adopted children that you won't believe exist. Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video. Number 20. Do you have many brothers and sisters? If so, probably not as many as this next family. The Briggs family has an incredible total of 34 children. Out of this impressive group, 29 were adopted from different countries, including Mexico, Ghana, and Ukraine. And that's not all, because Jean and Paul are currently in the process of adopting 2 more boys from Ghana. Each adoption process was a unique experience, with some completed in just 2 months, while others took up to a year and a half. Over the past 29 years, the Briggs family's home has undergone significant changes. With 9 bedrooms, including 2 dormitories and a total area of 460 square meters, the house has more than doubled in its size. It serves not only as a home, but also as a school, as Jean has taken on the responsibility of homeschooling the children for nearly 3 decades. With approximately 30 hungry mouths to feed at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the family's average weekly grocery bill amounts to around $1,000. Number 19. After a 5-year journey filled with hope and patience, Liz and John Grabowski from Fresno expanded their family in an extraordinary way. They chose to share their love with 5 special children from China, 4 of whom have a remarkable genetic condition, albinism. This condition is known for causing a lack of pigment in the skin, hair, and eyes. Additionally, 3 children also face legal blindness. Their first adopted child was Lily, a loving girl with albinism. Then they adopted May, a girl without albinism but who had difficulty moving her arm due to damage to the nerve network in her shoulder. Ultimately, they decided to adopt 3 more children also from China, including 2 girls and 1 boy, all of whom had albinism. Number 18. The Patterson family is an extraordinary family with a big heart. They've adopted 9 children with Down syndrome into their family. Pam, a former nurse, and Gerald, a former police officer, were childhood sweethearts. Each of their children, James, Alice, Molly, Riley, David, Timothy, Isabel, George, and Thomas, bring their own unique charm and abundance of talents. Down syndrome is a genetic condition caused by an extra chromosome 21, resulting in various developmental delays and physical limitations. Despite the challenges and sometimes hurtful criticism, Pam and Gerald continue to lovingly care for their special family. Number 17. Joe and Karen Bartling always dreamed of having a large family, but after the birth of their first son, they struggled with infertility. Despite numerous attempts through IVF, the 62-year-old couple decided to pursue the path of adoption. During this process, they learned about Hannah, a 2-year-old girl from South Korea who had been abandoned in an orphanage due to a developmental disorder that left her without eyes. Touched by their experience, they adopted Jessie, another child from a South Korean orphanage, abandoned by her biological mother due to a severe learning disability. 2 years later, they welcomed Abby into their family. Abby was found in a park in India, and she suffered from Fraser syndrome, a rare genetic condition that kept her eyelids closed. In the same year, they adopted baby David, who was left on the steps of a government building in China. Their family continued to grow with the arrival of Obed Josiah, who has cerebral palsy and an intellectual disability, and Bethany, who was born prematurely and is blind. In total, the Bartling family adopted 6 blind children and is doing their best to give them the best possible life. Number 16. Muriel Clayton is 92 years old, and Mary Smith is 76 years old. Their heartwarming bond was officially recognized in a Dallas courtroom when a judge declared them mother and daughter. Instead of the usual teddy bear given to the newly adopted children, cooks presented the duo with elegant white orchids. But how does a 90-year-old adopt a 70-year-old? Biologically, Muriel and Mary are cousins. Tragedy struck when Mary's father unexpectedly passed away from a heart attack in 1950 when she was only 11 years old. Her mother had long struggled with mental health issues, leading Mary to temporarily live with Muriel, who was a young married woman at that time. Despite attempts to reunite her with her mother, Mary found comfort and happiness with Muriel's family. She permanently joined their household at the age of 14, acquiring 4 younger sisters along the way. Mary's biological mother spent the rest of her life in mental institutions and passed away at the age of 73. Over the years, as life kept them busy, Muriel had postponed the idea of adoption. But as time passed, she realized the importance of legally making Mary her daughter before it was too late. Number 15. In January 1954, 2 bread deliverymen outside Lancaster, Ohio made a shocking discovery. A 2-month-old boy abandoned in a phone booth. The abandonment of the baby left the town baffled for over 6 decades. Thanks to a recent DNA test, Steve Dennis, now 64 years old, unearthed the long-awaited answers. Raised by his adoptive parents, Stanley and Vivian Dennis, Steve had known about his adoption since he was 3 years old. Steve's family provided him with a DNA test kit from Ancestry.com, which helped him connect with a genetic relative, his first cousin. Steve eventually met his half-sister. With the pieces of the puzzle falling into place, Dennis's sister reached out to their now 85-year-old mother, who gradually began to recall details about her firstborn child. According to the mother's account, she was only 18 years old when Steve was born. At that time, his father made a false promise. He would marry her if she left the baby. During their journey from Ohio to Kentucky, where Steve was born, his father took him, left him in the phone booth, and disappeared from their lives forever. In his 60s and his biological mother in her 80s, the two finally met for the first time. Number 14. Tina and Raj Thomas have written a book about their journey with their adopted daughter, Mui, who lives with a rare genetic skin condition called Harlequin ichthyosis. Harlequin ichthyosis is a condition where babies are born with thick, hard plates of skin covering a significant part of their bodies. This inflexible skin can lead to facial deformities, challenges in regulating body temperature, and an increased susceptibility to infections due to cracks and splits in the skin. Mui, now a young woman, has defied expectations and pursued her passions as a certified yoga instructor and rugby referee. In the book, Tina shares her poignant first encounter with Mui, an abandoned baby shunned by society because of her appearance. Tina remembers the moment when Mui saw her in a hospital room crying and how she immediately fell in love with her. She expresses her unwavering determination to fight for Mui, despite her own young age of 26 at that time. The Thomas family also invested a lot of time and effort in combating cyberbullying, prejudice, and discrimination. Number 13. The bond between Jen and Bill began in their childhood when they briefly met in a hospital. Years later, as adults, they reconnected through a dating site for little people. They got married in 2008 and ventured into the world of reality TV in 2009, with their own TLC show running for 14 seasons. The decision to adopt stemmed from medical advice that a pregnancy could pose serious risks to Jen due to her form of dwarfism. Despite their attempts to have a biological child through a surrogate mother, Jen and Bill experienced the heartache of 2 miscarriages. Therefore, they refocused their attention on adoption. In 2013, they were matched with Will, who had been abandoned at birth and lived in a foster family in the Hohhot province of China. The following year, they expanded their family again by adopting 2-year-old Zoe from India. Jen and Bill have stated that their hearts are ready to welcome even more children. Number 12. In a heartwarming twist of fate, a true story straight out of a Hollywood movie unfolded years ago at a bustling train station in China. A tiny baby girl in a blue jacket, just 1 month old, was left abandoned in a cardboard box. A stranger found the abandoned baby and took her to an orphanage. On the other side of the world, Chuck and Kim Walker stood at a crossroads. After the birth of their first son and the tragic loss of their second, their family yearned for completion. In the year 2000, they welcomed their first daughter through adoption, but they wanted more. The Walker family was captivated by countless stories of Chinese baby girls desperately seeking permanent homes, with many being left to fate. They were matched with none other than the same baby girl abandoned at that train station. They named her Mackenzie Grace. When Mackenzie entered her new home, she fell in love with the old chime clock in the kitchen. Number 11. But what if they truly became our parents? A teenager finally found a permanent home thanks to his former teacher, who became his adoptive mother. 16-year-old Anthony had been in foster care since he was 9. His journey began in November when he crossed paths with Barry, who served as his English teacher. After a while, the bond between them had grown so strong that Anthony approached Barry with a life-changing request. He asked her to adopt him. In a touching gesture, Anthony presented his teacher with a website on which he asked her to adopt him. Initially, Barry didn't look at it and told him she would only review it after she had completed all his assignments. Ultimately, she decided to agree to his request and officially became Anthony's mother. Number 10. Denny and Karen Viner faced unexpected circumstances in their youth. Carrie was sent to a home for unwed mothers at the age of 15, and Denny had limited opportunities to visit her. She later gave birth to their daughter and had made the difficult decision to place her for adoption. The couple had to part ways when her parents insisted she pursue an education instead of marrying. In 2014, curiosity led Denny to search for Karen online. Within 36 hours of reconnecting, they remarried and settled in the Twin Cities. But something was missing: their daughter. Together, they worked with an organization called Lutheran Social Services to locate their daughter, Jean. The adoption agency contacted Jean with a letter, which she initially ignored. Fortunately, her husband read the letter and conducted further research. It was only then that Jean realized her biological parents were searching for her. Through exchanged letters, they decided to meet one morning in May 2016, 50 years after they had given her up for adoption. Number 9. A couple from Tulsa, Oklahoma made an incredible change in their lives, going from childless to parents of 5 children within a year. Sarah and Andy Justice struggled with infertility and sought advice from a specialist. The specialist informed them about the high cost of IVF and the low chances of success, with only a 10% chance of pregnancy. Faced with this reality, they decided to pursue adoption. After a challenging journey, the couple was matched with an expectant mother and adopted triplets. But during an ultrasound appointment, Sarah received a surprising revelation from the doctor. She had become pregnant, and they discovered it was twins. Sarah and Andy were filled with joy and relief, as this fulfilled their desire for a larger family. To help with their brood of children, the couple receives tremendous support from their tight-knit community. Friends, family, and the church congregation have set up a weekly rotation to assist Sarah while Andy is at work. The family goes through approximately 40 to 50 diapers per day, totaling 300 diapers per week. Number 8. Chris and Erin Austin were captivated by their daughter Primrose's fascinating silver eyes when they adopted her from a Chinese orphanage in 2016. However, her silver eyes caused the rest of the world to react with fear and disgust. In the orphanage, other children ran away from her. Primrose's limited vision was the result of untreated childhood glaucoma. Her life took a worrisome turn when she began experiencing excruciating eye pain, leading to sweating, crying for 16 hours a day, and refusing to eat. The Austin family, residing in Beaufort, Georgia, first saw a photo of Primrose in 2014 and welcomed her into the family 2 years later. They embarked on a journey to nurture her development, teaching her basic skills like sitting, holding her head, feeding, and showing affection. The orphanage had informed them that the girl might be deaf and blind due to untreated congenital glaucoma. Symptoms of childhood glaucoma include enlarged eyes, cloudy corneas, and light sensitivity. Medical professionals later discovered that Primrose had an extremely rare condition called 6p25 deletion syndrome. As a result, her vision was limited due to perceiving light, and she also faced learning disabilities, muscle weakness, and other challenges. Number 7. Joshua and Jessica Clark, a couple from Georgia, expanded their family by officially adopting 7 siblings. What makes this case unique is that they did this all in one day. With their biological son Noah being 3 years old, the Clarks now have a family of 10. The adopted children, ranging in age from 5 to 14, are all brothers and sisters, or half-siblings, sharing the same mother. The siblings entered the foster care system 4 years ago, when their mother left the family. Since then, they had been living with the Clarks, who had expressed their desire to adopt the siblings' baby sister. However, they would need a larger house for that. The family's decision to adopt the 7 siblings stems from their desire to have a large family. In fact, on their first date, Joshua talked about his wish to have 10 children, an idea that excited Jessica due to her upbringing in a foster family. Number 6. The remarkable story of Michaela de Prince encompasses a profound transformation, beginning from her early days in an orphanage in Sierra Leone to becoming a professional ballerina. She was born in 1995, under the name of Binti Bangura, and she found herself in a world engulfed in a brutal civil war in Sierra Leone. Tragically, her father fell victim to rebel violence, while her mother succumbed to illness and hunger, leaving her alone in the world. She doesn't even know what her biological parents look like. At the tender age of 3, she was abandoned in an orphanage where the staff faced her with pigmentation condition called vitiligo, and they labeled her as the child of the devil. The white patches on her dark skin were wrongly associated with evil or a curse. In New Jersey, Elaine and her husband Charles, who had previously adopted 3 American boys, stumbled upon the girl's photo book by chance. Despite the couple having endured the tragic loss of their adopted sons to AIDS from contaminated blood, they embarked on a new adoption journey, this time to Africa. They adopted Michaela and another girl from the orphanage. Once in the United States, Elaine enrolled her in ballet lessons, and she ultimately became a world-class star. Number 5. In 1997, an American couple who were not named for their privacy and protection adopted 2 children from Russia, Kara Lee and Joshua. However, shortly after their return to the United States, they noticed the troubling behavior in Kara Lee. She would often stare into the distance in a trance-like state and exhibit signs of coldness and anger. Kara Lee eventually began experiencing hallucinations and hearing voices. The situation reached a critical point when she allegedly attempted to push her brother off a bridge. Out of fear for her and her potential harm to her brother, they sent Kara Lee back to Russia, hoping that the psychiatric child facility there would have more success in treating her. A journalist named Troy Roberts documented this gripping story in a show called The Perfect Child, which aired in 2000. He had met Carolee as a child and was interested in her story and what had happened to her. After more than 2 decades, he was finally able to reunite with her in North Carolina, not far from where she currently lives. In an interview, she shared that as a child, she struggled with depression and felt that her adopted parents favored her brother. She emphasized that she never intended to harm him. Number 4. In a remarkable twist of fate, a couple from Wisconsin found themselves in the midst of adopting 2 sets of twins while also having their own twins. What's even more intriguing is that all the twins shared the same birthday, February 28th, but they were born in different years. Carrie and Craig Kozinski, who reside on a farm in Union Grove, have always had the intention of adopting. However, due to Carrie's diagnosis of endometriosis and other complications affecting ovulation, they expedited their adoption plans. Carrie, now 28, was adopted as a child and grew up in a large family of 9, which inspired her desire for a big family. The journey to adopting the first set of twins began when a high school acquaintance approached them in 2013, seeking potential adoptive parents for her twins. Interestingly, the biological mother already had an older set of twins born on the same day. 1 year earlier. 3 years later, the Kobinskis became the legal guardians of the twins. 3 months later, the Kozinskis became the legal guardians of the twins, named Kenna and Adeline. A year after adopting the younger set of twins, the biological mother reached out to the Kozinskis again. Facing financial challenges, she asked if they would also take custody of the older set of twins, JJ and Cece. But the Kozinski family had another surprise in store. Last year, they discovered through IVF treatments that they were expecting their own set of twins. Their biological daughters, Clarissa and Caroline, were also born on February 28th. Number 3. Beth L Kip and Stephanie Coley were inseparable best friends in high school. When Beth moved back to Virginia from Texas with her 6 children, they reconnected. Tragically, Beth passed away at the age of 39 after battling breast cancer. She had been diagnosed 2 years earlier while pregnant with her youngest child. Before her death, Beth made a final request to Stephanie, with whom she had developed a deep bond with over the years. Upon receiving news that her cancer had spread, Beth and Stephanie quickly arranged temporary guardianship papers for the children. When the time came, Beth's 6 children joined Stephanie's family, which already consisted of 3 children. In a surprising turn of events, the family, now comprised of 11 members, received a life-changing surprise. They were given a generous school fund of $90,000 for the children, along with brand new furniture for their home. Number 2. Jake and Maxine, a couple who married in May 2016, always envisioned having a large family. Their journey began in December 2019 when they joyfully completed the adoption process, officially becoming legal guardians of 5 children, including their own biological child. However, they had no idea that their family would expand exponentially. A few weeks after the adoption, Maxine received astonishing news. She was pregnant with quadruplets. Around the same time, they discovered a group of siblings aged 4, 2, and 11 months old who needed a home. Without hesitation, Jake and Maxine adopted them, and as if that wasn't enough, less than a month later, they welcomed a 4th child, who had just been born. Their journey to parenthood was not without challenges. Jake and Maxine experienced miscarriages, chemical pregnancies, and underwent rounds of IVF before their son Henry was born in October 2018. The fact that Maxine naturally conceived quadruplets is a rarity with odds of approximately 1 in a million. Number 1. The case of Natalia Grace, a Ukrainian dwarf, garnered attention on social media due to bizarre and disturbing elements. Natalia was adopted by Michael and Christine Barnett in 2010. After a while, the couple began to suspect that Natalia was not the 6-year-old orphan she claimed, but rather an adult posing as a child. According to the couple, Natalia exhibited troubling behaviors, such as reading the Bible and expressing attempts to rid herself of evil thoughts. They claimed she threatened them with violence and poisoning their coffee. Over time, her behavior escalated even further. The family alleged that Natalia posed a danger to their household. Concerned by these warning signs, they sought legal assistance, and in 2012, a petition was granted to change Natalia's birth date from 2003 to 1989 on her Ukrainian birth document. The last known information is that Natalia went to live independently in an apartment in another country. Have you ever considered adopting a child, or do you know someone who has? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we've made, click one on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.